JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Dunaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, BuyAToyota.com, your official site for Toyota deals. The original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
And welcome back in the holiday edition, I guess we could say, of the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show right here on Comcast Beach TV, and now this season on TV also on 47 ABC, WNBT, and Delmarva's Rock Radio 93.5 The Beach, the strongest Signal Ravens affiliate on the peninsula. Don't forget the Ravens on the road to Miami taking on the Dolphins Sunday at 1 o'clock, pregame on the radio at 12:30, and our radio show at 11 o'clock. And, of course, you can catch us on Comcast Beach TV Thursday through Sunday at all different times, so you won't miss us. You'll catch us at some time, even during the overnights. If you can't get any sleep, you'll catch us. ABC 47 WNBT, Saturday night, 7:30, and on Sunday at noon. Mike Bradley, John Gehrig, Steve Slaza on the panel here as we discuss more of the... Oh, well, thank you. At least we have some winners this week, despite the 34-33 loss, the Ravens to the San Diego Chargers. And guys, we were talking about kind of how gut-wrenching a loss it was, and we talked a lot of different factors. But getting back into the game, we were talking defense, and I think one of the things that came up, we were talking in the last segment, was Phillip Rivers is an excellent quarterback. A lot of weapons for San Diego: Keenan Allen, Eddie Royal, Malcolm Floyd, Antonio Gates. He had 4 legitimate threats. Ryan Matthews, who could run the ball, then we shut down the run, but he can catch the ball a little bit out of the backfield as well. So that was a big challenge, and for a depleted secondary at that. But, John, the problem that I had, and I know Dean Pease gets a lot of criticism as defensive coordinator, and look, he does have a tough task. Excellent front seven, very bad back seven, or at least bad 4 back there. Not only just corners, but more so the safeties, I think, are worse than the corners. But you can't just show and go like a Matt Elam does out of a slot corner and not think that Phillip Rivers isn't just going to dink, dunk. And outside of Malcolm Floyd's 59-yard catch, which was the longest of all the other receivers, the longest play, 23 yards. He wasn't going deep down the field. He was picking us apart surgically, just left and right. And I thought we did a poor job at times of trying to deceive him in our blitzes.
We talked last segment about comparing it to Rex Ryan and his schemes. And when you're not very good, sometimes you can just line up and you're good enough to line up and beat the other guy up. Other times you just need to be more prepared, or you need to use other assets. You either need to be in better condition or better shape. You need to be intelligent, be able to change the snap count on offense, for instance, and be disciplined not to jump off sides. Whatever it is, but sometimes you need to use other assets and strategy in order to get the results you need, because you're not good enough to just line up. And that's where I think the Ravens are lacking. Like you said, if you're going to blitz, and the Ravens tried to blitz enough, but we kept getting stoned on the blitzes. We weren't getting there, and Rivers was able to read it, so he wasn't tricked, and he was able to know who the hot read was and deliver the ball on time to convert. All that said, so he did an excellent. That's what a pro quarterback does. That said, his greatest talent was his ability to move the line of scrimmage whenever he wanted, because clearly Elvis Dumervil was confused by where the line of scrimmage was. So I've never seen that out of any quarterback. I mean, it's like Hall of Fame performance.
I mean, John, I mean, Steve, we can laugh at that later here, after the 24-hour rule. But how does a pro like that 3 times? Okay, 1 time in the heat of battle, okay, it happens. But 3 times, and it cost us on the 1 play, big time.
I think a lot of that's his fault, but I will honestly say that was a terribly officiated game. It's real simple. Son, you're offsides. Move back. Son, you're lined up illegally. That's part of the line judge's deal, to get those guys on side. You can't let the guys line up. There's got to be some give and take between the refs. You know, they had 2 plays in the end zone where there's interference in the end zone, and the ball one time was spotted at the 7-yard line, another time it was spotted at the 3-yard line. Guy gets out of bounds at the end of the game. They don't show it. I mean, there were some major flaws in what they're doing. You know, and the only 2 things they were calling were hands to the face, which is an absolutely pointless penalty. When's the last time you saw somebody get an offensive lineman hurt somebody by going like this? I mean, it just doesn't happen. You know, and the other point of emphasis here is supposed to be offensive interference, which happened on the last play, and we get called against it on Cincinnati. It loses us the game, and somehow, you know, the Chargers don't get called for it. You know, I thought, you know, everybody said, oh, how could he be offsides? Well, you know, he's close enough where the ref could say, hey, back it up. Does he have to? No, he doesn't. But, you know,
he could check.
if he's smart, yeah, exactly. He's smart. Hey, am I onside? Am I, you know, that kind of stuff's got to go on. But, you know, in fairness to those guys, they were being not held, they were being tackled every play. There's one play where Terrell Suggs gets the running back behind the line, and he pinches the offensive tackle's arm and basically ends up tackling the back with the tackle on top of him. So, I mean, they were doing, you know, and they were a dirty team.
Well,
they were. Not that I'm bitter about the game. Thank God this show is on Wednesday, not on Monday night. I've calmed down a little.
Look, I mean, John, I mean, certainly there's validity to that. But that said, of 14 penalties, though, there are some miscues in there that the Ravens have to take responsibility for. And it's not like San Diego. They got 8 penalties for 91 yards. It's not like, you know, all the calls were against the Ravens. San Diego got some, too, and we were benefactors of some. But, you know, at the end of the day, 14 is just too many. I don't care if the refs screwed up on a few.
A lot of those were just at the wrong time. I mean, a lot of those were on defense, so they kept drives alive. And
They sure did.
You know, when you add all this stuff up, and we're talking about, you know, Rivers just being an efficient pro, you give these guys other opportunities. I mean, they do have talent, and you are struggling in your backfield, in the secondary. You just keep yourself out on the field longer by your own stupid mistakes. Yeah. I mean, granted, you're right, I guess, sort of. Actually, you're wrong.
Oh, wow, that was a total flip-flop.
You knew that was coming, Steve.
The dude can't be lined up with his helmet, you know, all the way. I mean, it wasn't even close.
No.
Three times is too many on that kind of play.
But it's you know, when you do it to yourself, it's like errors in baseball. When you give your the opponent an extra out or 2 in an inning, it's hard enough to get 3, right? So, and the same thing happened. You give them enough opportunities, they're going to score.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, 9 defensive penalties is way too much. But Rivers, I thought, did a great job of, you know, he's not real mobile, but he has a pocket presence, a pocket sense that Flacco will never have. I mean, he stepped, and I know I let you up on that one, but he stepped up 1 or 2 steps every play. I mean, we were all over him, and he just stepped up, bang, and was able to complete the pass. So he did a great job. But they also knew where it was coming from. I thought we were badly out-scouted on both sides of the ball.
No, and Steve, you beat me to the punch on that. I was going to say Phillip Rivers is a guy that reminds me of Ben Roethlisberger. He reminds me of Brett Favre. And Ben Roethlisberger in the sense of the pocket presence to be able to move around, extend plays with his feet. He's not fast, but he can move around really well in that pocket. And Brett Favre, all the different arm angles he can throw from. And he's excellent at doing that. But that's something that you scout and that you know. And after a while, you know, the Ravens, some of the angles they were getting at, you've got to play and know that, you know, Rivers is going to do a good job at getting around. But at the end of the day, we've talked about this time and time again, though, especially on the blitzes. I know we don't have the best corners. I know we don't have the best safeties. But you got to take some chances and jam their wide receivers when you're going to blitz. You know, to sit back and know that Phillip Rivers is going to, you're showing the blitz, you know he's going to pick you apart, and to give him cushion on that, you can't. You got to jam him at some point.
That's well said, Mike. I mean, that is just hope. You're hoping the quarterback makes a mistake. And that can work maybe against Ryan Tannehill, and that can work against Blake Bortles, and that can work against Geno Smith, and that can work against a handful of guys, you know, half the league. But that's not going to work against the other half of the league. No. And the Ravens did not adjust. So when you're going to send the pressure and you don't have enough courage, these guys are pros, all right? They may not be great, league considered, you know, in the league itself, but in the general I mean, these guys are tremendous athletes to even be in that situation. So if you can't trust them to jam and to play coverage for 5 yards while you send your blitz, there's just bigger problems, you know, that maybe we don't know about. So there's clearly a lack of faith in the personnel, and that's a major problem.
Well, and if you're going to take a guy like Will Hill off of Antonio Gates and sit him back in 2 deep coverage, then at least allow him that, hey, if the corner whiffs, then you've got a safety that you feel comfortable with back there that can cover that deep half.
And these guys aren't elite level wide receivers. I mean, Keenan Allen's a second-year guy. He's good.
He's pretty good, though.
Malcolm Floyd is a 9-year. He's not a journeyman. He's been there a long time.
Yeah, he's solid, not
he's
great.
solid. He's not great. I mean, these guys are not. This isn't A.J. Green, Calvin Johnson, Demarius Thomas.
No, we give up plays to them too.
Yeah, but it's not like we should have been fearing the situation. The only way to have any major impact was to do exactly what Mike said. You got to jam those guys and send some pressure.
Well, I mean, against a regular quarterback, there's openings. Against a good quarterback, there is always somebody open. The reality is, if you let him sit back, he's going to find somebody. Chances, you've got to go after him. And I don't mean all the time, but sporadically, you've got to mix it in there. And it seemed like every time we did something, they knew where it was coming from. We didn't just send it. The other thing is he delivered the ball low, and I was surprised that we didn't come up the middle, especially because they had already put 3 centers on IR. They were on their 4th center, and he got hurt during the game, so they had to move a guard in there.
That's an excellent point. Their offensive line, folks, not very good, and that was disappointing. Your 14 center, and we weren't able to get some up the middle penetration as well.
Yeah, the A-gap pressures just weren't there. I mean, I don't know how you don't pressure that.
Part of that, though, to Rivers' credit, he got rid of the ball quickly, too. So he negated some of that. Look, Rivers is a tough guy to beat. I mean, it's just tough. Pick your poison. You're not always going to win, and you have to cede that you're going to lose on some of those plays. It's going to happen.
But when his job is to replace the pressure. So
right,
if
correct.
the pressure's coming up the middle, then he's got to throw it there. So getting your hands up and doing something, he's got a low arm angle on some of these. I mean, so there were things to be done, even if you couldn't get there, was to at least disrupt the play and then get your hands up if you know that's what, if you anticipate him getting rid of the ball early, which he clearly does all the time, in any game. And here's what's coming up. I mean, the team that just put up 34 against us at home, the team we're getting ready to play just shut them out. So, I mean, we'll talk about the Dolphins here in a little bit, but a couple of weeks ago, the Chargers put up a goose egg against them. So, I mean,
it's a week-to-week league, though. So, I mean, I don't want to take too
just
much.
a couple of weeks ago.
No, it's still a week-to-week league. The Ravens, though, have given up 803 yards through the air in the past 2 games and now ranked 31st in pass defense, allowing 273.9 yards a game. So that's rough. And Anthony Levine allowed 9 of 10 passes to his side for 75 yards, and he had a pass interference penalty. That's the only time that they didn't complete a pass on him. So, that just gives you an idea of where our secondary is right now. It's not good. Jeremy Miles, actually, who's a special teams guy, played back there with Will Hill as one of the other deep safeties. Actually played pretty well, but we're really digging deep on the bench. More of the Ravens Wrap Show to come. Comcast Speech TV, ABC 47 WNBT, and 93.5 The Beach. Keep it here.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you could win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Can I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
Come see us at Blue Ox.
JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.